What's going on, guys? I'm Alan and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Tomplay app. Tomplay is an app for PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone, and Android. Tomplay features interactive sheet music that allows you to play along with recordings by professional musicians. We're going to talk about the features of the app and also my personal thoughts after trying it out. Now, Tomplay did reach out to me for this review video, but they didn't tell me what to say. And I personally hadn't heard of this app before they reached out, so I was pretty curious to try it out. There's also a Black Friday deal going on right now where you can get 40% off the annual subscription. There's also a 14-day free trial period if you want to try it out risk-free. Let's get started with the review. Tomplay has scores available for several instruments. You have piano, violin, saxophone, flute, recorder, clarinet, guitar, bass, ukulele, drums, percussion, cello, trumpet, trombone, French horn, tuba, euphonium, tenor horn, bassoon, oboe, viola, double bass, harp, singer or vocals of course, accordion, music theory, and bands and ensembles. So we can search scores a few different ways. We can select our composer that we want. We also can go through styles of music. You have Christian worship, Christmas, classical, country, electro, exercises, film music, French popular music, jazz, kids, Latin music, national anthems, pop rock, reggae, tango, various video games, and world music. Now, since my channel mainly focuses on worship music, you may be curious if there are many like worship tracks or scores on here. The answer to that is not really. You Say by Lauren Daigle was on here. There were also kind of a few other big ones, but there's not a whole lot of current stuff. Maybe they'll be adding more in the future. I'm not really sure. But if you need an app to play along with Christian songs, I would recommend Multitracks. That's a great app. I use it almost every single week where you can play along with the actual like artist that recorded those songs, and it's really cool, really useful app. They kind of have that area of the market to themselves, I believe. Then also on here, like I was saying, there are like theory exercises. Wait, let's back up real quick. Also, you can select by difficulty. We can do beginner, very easy, easy. I will say some of these advanced ones on here, they get pretty tough. So I would say most people are probably going to be within the beginner to intermediate to like the early advanced area. And then you can also select what type of arrangement you want, piano solo, duets, whatever you want. You can also choose what kind of accompaniment you want, whether you want orchestra, you want to only look at tracks that have orchestra or things like that. Then I did want to briefly go over the theory courses. Those are available on here too. Now, I didn't get to try these out because they didn't include many of these in my kind of review trial here. But if you wanted to check them out, they are $9.99 for most of these courses. They just kind of teach you different things about rhythms and have different theory courses. Let's take a look at some of the features of Tomplay. I play mainly piano and guitar, so we're just going to kind of focus mostly on those. So let's look at In Dreams, and this is from Lord of the Rings by Howard Shore. And we can choose our key, C sharp major or C major. Let's go with C major because C sharp is not a fun key. All right, so we'll just kind of go from left to right here and go over what everything does. So our score, I have a couple of scores that I edited, but let's just go with the original default Tomplay score. And we can choose our audio track, whether we want to be able to hear the accompaniment or the piano. We can add metronome in there with our click. We can choose our tempo, slow down, speed up. If we just click this little thing here at the bottom, that will also go back to our original tempo. All right, let's go ahead and play just a little bit of this, let you guys hear it. So we count off. One thing I'll say you'll notice right away is it's a very nice sounding recording. It's not just like MIDI electronic stuff. It's actual musicians, which is kind of what's unique about this app. So it does sound nice. And then like I said, we can change our tracks. So let's say we don't want to hear the piano. That way we can just play along with the orchestra. We can do that. Remember, this is a slightly simplified version. We could obviously pick a harder version of the score if we wanted the rhythms to sound exactly like the original. Then we can also record ourselves. I'm not going to click on this just because earlier I tried this and it messed up my screen recording. But you can basically record the audio, or you can even record audio and video if you want to. And then visual, down here, whenever you play along, it will basically light up what keys are being played. You have that. tuning fork if you need it. You can just pick a note, you can tune to it. Then the loop function, let's say we're having an area that we're struggling with, maybe a few measures. We can just set it like that, and it'll just repeat that section over and over again. You can just drag it to where you want it. So pretty intuitive there. You guys get the idea. Annotate, I thought this was pretty cool. Here you can edit your scores. I've edited a few, so let's name this one Mr. I'll just say 3 just to save time. Then we can go in here and do annotations. We can add in finger numbers if we want. Well, some of those you could use as finger numbers. Hopefully you don't have 9 fingers though, on one hand anyway. We can go down and circle a note, say we're missing it over and over again, just put a little circle around it. I also liked this little caution symbol, we put that down there. We can drag in dynamics. Also, I'm glad that happened because that is one thing that I noticed. They need to move this toolbar down just like a little bit because it is really easy to kind of accidentally, pull down your, I don't know what they call that, control panel or whatever on the iPad. And then you have different dynamics you can pull in, all sorts of stuff. Crescendo, decrescendo, solfege, different note values, all that good stuff. Let's go back. We can draw. So say we just want to, write whatever we want on there, we can do that. Highlight, if we're having a spot we're missing over and over again, we can do that there. Text, this just allows you to type in an area. Just click on the screen, type what you want. I'll type hi, done, check mark, and it'll leave that little hi right there. Undo. Notes, add a note. We can give our note a title. Let's see, look here. Then we can type what we want down there. Let's say hi again. And then that way, it just saves a little number there. Say we don't want to write all over the score. Keep it kind of clean. We can just click that and it'll show the note. Yeah, and then we can save all that. That way we don't have to go back in and make those changes again. Then metronome. Again, that's just going to play your click. Settings, we can change it to where it's pages, and this does scroll really nicely. Let me show you guys real quick. If we just kind of start towards the end of a page, it's basically going to give us kind of like the last few measures on the next page. So yeah, see how it kind of went to the middle, shows us up here where we're going. So I think the way it scrolls is really nice. You don't ever wonder what's up next. You can kind of see it ahead of time. Or you can set it to vertical where it does that, going up and down. We can hide the cursor, hide the toolbar. So that was up here at the top. Notice when I hit play, the toolbar automatically goes away. You can change that if you want to be able to always see the toolbar. Accompaniment, if you're not playing an A440, you can change that to a different tuning, or maybe your piano's out of tune. You can also adjust your latency if you're playing along with a Bluetooth speaker, which I did do quite a bit in my testing, and that does work. So if you notice that the audio is lagging just a little bit, you can edit the latency in there. Count off, we can change to audio or visual. There we go. So that's pretty much it for a piano score. Let me make sure we're still recording our screen. Yep. This is the second time I'm recording this because my screen recording messed up the first time for some reason. Let's look at a guitar one real quick. Whoops, that's not the one I meant to click on. This was the one I meant to click on. Let's look at some tabs. So here's a guitar tab, just real fast. This is Perfect by Ed Sheeran. So this will give us the tab down here. Here are the vocals up there. Again, we can take those vocals out if we want, right? We can kind of drag this around. Same thing, visual, that'll give us sort of like the piano. It gives us a visual of the guitar neck on the bottom there. Oh, there you go. Let's also look at a drum score just real fast, just because I thought this was pretty cool. We're going to look at Run by the Foo Fighters. So the reason I thought this was cool is because it gives us a visual of the drum set down at the bottom. Tells us what drums to hit. I thought that was pretty useful. I'm not a drummer. I would like to be one day. But that seems like a cool practice tool. And however you guys read this sheet music for this, I don't know. I don't know how you know which drum is which. I guess the bass drum's that F. Tom is the A. Okay. Cool. So there you go. That's pretty much it, kind of for the main features of a score. Let's talk a little bit about performance. I did have a few bugs whenever I was using this on my MacBook. Sometimes the scores wouldn't load and they would just show an error message. It only happened a couple times. And I also had one time where I chose to load the tabs and it pulled up the notes, so just like normal sheet music. And then one time I chose to load the guitar notes and it loaded a guitar tab instead. So something weird was going on there, like something on the back end was switched around or something. And then I also had one bug where the loop function wouldn't work on one of my annotated scores. It worked on the normal score, but wouldn't work once I annotated it. Those were the only bugs I had, just those 3. And that was during a relatively extensive amount of time with this. I spent, they let me have access to it for about 2 weeks, and I was able to spend about a week and a half or so with it, just kind of messing around a little bit every day. Then on the iPad, I think that's where this app really shines. I didn't have any bugs at all on the iPad, except for that one thing where I was showing you, I was trying to like drag down an annotation that, pulled down my control center. But other than that, I didn't have any bugs or anything. So I think this app is primarily made for the iPad, which makes sense because it's obviously, if you're reading sheet music at the piano, this is a great way to do it. It's a good form factor for it. Then this also works pretty well on iPhone. I didn't really have any issues there other than the screen being kind of small, but it only shows just a few measures at a time. So if your phone's big enough, you might actually even be able to read it pretty well. Still say the iPad offers the best experience. Let's go over the pricing. The pricing is in euros, which is pretty similar to USD. Each score costs anywhere from €2 to €18, which is $2.06 or $18.58. That price depends on how complex the song is. So a short duet will cost between $2 to $4, while a concerto with an orchestral accompaniment could cost anywhere from $10 to $18. Then they also have subscription pricing that gives you access to everything on the site, and that's the access that they gave me for a couple of weeks. Then you also have a monthly subscription option, which is $14.99 a month or €14.99. It's $15.48 USD. Then the annual option is €119.99, and then in the US that'd be $123.91. And don't forget, right now there's a Black Friday sale where you can get 40% off that annual subscription, making it €72 or $74.35. I'll be honest, to me at first this pricing seemed a little high. Just kind of taking into effect like the cost of other similar subscription services or even like Netflix, it seemed a little bit high to me. But I think then if you take into account that you get all these scores, there are over 40,000 scores on here. They add about 300 every single week, I think I read. So that's quite a bit of music. And so you get all those scores. You can also, you can download those. That way you don't have to always be connected to the internet. So you can access them offline if you want to. You can also print them straight from the app. So there's a lot you can do with it, and then also you get all the practice tracks along with them too. So there's a lot of cool features that you wouldn't get with just normal sheet music. So I think if you factor all that in, the price starts to make a little more sense. I'll let you guys decide if that price is right for you or not, but hopefully that gives you some information about it. Let's go over some of the pros and cons of the app. We'll start with pros first. So it is fun to use. Obviously, it makes practice more engaging. It's also versatile with all the different instruments and different styles, difficulty. There's a lot you can choose from. It's also feature-rich. You can speed up, slow down your track, make annotations. All the features we talked about earlier, you can do all those things. Again, it performs best on iPad, like I was saying. Then you can also access scores offline, which I think is a cool feature. And then let's go ahead and go over some of the cons. Let's take a look at the shop page, because I think that's one of the weak points of this app. Let's look at this Coldplay one. So we have Coldplay, one advanced, in my place, advanced solo piano, advanced level with orchestra. So I just don't like how they have the same song on here multiple times. What I would prefer is just you see the song once, and then you click on it, then maybe you select your difficulty from there. Maybe that's just me, but I don't like seeing the same song listed so many different times. I'd rather just see it once, and then that way they can fit more songs on there, and you can select your difficulty after you click on it. But who knows? Maybe that's just me, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. There is a decent song selection on here. Like I said, they have over 40,000 scores, but I do think they need to continue adding more current songs to their library. Also, the scrolling cursor didn't always line up with the notes whenever I was playing. Sometimes it would get off just a little bit, especially on like heavily syncopated rhythms. Again, you can adjust for latency for your Bluetooth speaker. I did try that feature. That worked out just fine. So basically, this app, I think it has a lot of potential to really be something great as long as they continue supporting it. I think that is going to wrap up my review. I gave you guys some pros and cons, so hopefully you can make an informed decision from there. If you do want to try it out, I have a link down in the description. Huge thanks again to Tomplay for letting me check out your app. I hadn't heard of it before and was pleasantly surprised at how fun it was to use. If you guys enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Again, huge thanks to the patrons for your support. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, and I'll see you in the next one.